Hello, my friend. Today, I want to take you into a journey your heart has been longing for, maybe longer than you realize. A journey that begins with a haunting question. Why would God pull you away from your family? This is not punishment. It is a sacred truth of the soul, a truth you need to hear today. So let your heart grow still, because what you're about to hear may change the way you see yourself and the path you're walking on. And to understand this divine reason, we must begin with the very first truth of the soul. Aries, sometimes in life, we go through a truth that at first feels unfair, a cut so deep the soul can hardly understand it. But when the light of truth begins to break through, we realize it was never punishment. It was protection. A protection given by the divine from the source of love itself, from the place where even the deepest wounds can become the beginning of healing. How many times have you asked yourself, why did I have to leave my family, the people who were supposed to be my safest home? How many times have you felt abandoned, cut off, as if the world had turned its back on you? And yet, in those quiet moments, when the heart finally settles down, you begin to see the distance was not meant to make you weaker, but stronger. It was a design so you could breathe again, so you could return to yourself. People often believe love means closeness, holding on tightly. But sometimes love also means giving space. Space to be free, space to learn how to stand on your own 2 feet, space to see who truly walks with you and who only appeared to take from your light. Aries, in those moments your heart may have ached, torn apart. But listen beneath that pain, because sometimes pain is the way the universe whispers to you. You cannot carry this burden forever. You need to breathe, you need to be free. Picture a small seed resting in the dark soil. If it stays hidden there forever, it will never know the light of the sky. It needs to crack to break through its shell so it can rise. The separation you've faced is the same. It is the necessary breaking, so your soul can finally find the light. Many of us grow up believing family ties must never be broken. But the sacred truth is this. Sometimes distance itself is the language of love. It frees you from repeating the same wounds. It releases you from invisible chains. It gives you the chance to learn what it means to love yourself fully and in a way that heals. So pause for a moment, Aries. Remember a time when you had to walk away, when you were forced to let go. You felt empty then. You felt lost. But with time, you came to see without that separation, you would not be living as fully as you are today. That is the language of love, though not everyone will understand it. Have you ever felt the pain of distance and later realized it was the only way to breathe again? That question is not just for you. It is a doorway for everyone who has walked through darkness and found light. So if you have ever lived through this sacred kind of separation, share your story, because your words may be the medicine for another soul who feels lost tonight. Leave it in the comments, because maybe your story is the light someone else has been waiting for. And now, you have stepped into a deeper layer of yourself. Here, you know separation is not an ending. It is the beginning of a new journey. A journey where you no longer carry burdens that were never yours. A journey where you finally learn to live true to the fire in your heart. And then, a question begins to rise within you. Why does Aries carry so many burdens? Why does this fire always burn for others before it is ever kept for itself? To find the answer, we must return to the role you've carried your entire life. Aries, from the time you were a child, you were used to standing at the front lines of your family. When others fell, you were the one who stood up. When others stayed silent in their pain, you were the one holding the weight, keeping the house from collapsing. You became a quiet pillar, a flame burning bright in the storm. But very few ever noticed the weight you were carrying on your shoulders. Sometimes, even family love turns into a burden. People expected you to always be strong, always ready to sacrifice, always there when they needed you. And you, with your fiery heart and unshakable loyalty, took on that role as if it were destiny. But what no one saw is that while you were holding others up, you were often pushed to the very edge yourself. God saw that. He witnessed every night you were too exhausted to sleep, but still forced a smile the next morning so no one would worry. He saw every time you swallowed your pain just to keep others at peace. And in that silence, you became the silent savior of your family. But love does not mean losing yourself. Love cannot be one-sided sacrifice. It cannot turn a person into nothing more than the shadow of expectations. When you carry too much, your fire begins to fade. Not because it is weak, but because it has burned for everyone else before it could warm you. Ask yourself, how many times have you been strong for everyone, but no one was strong for you? How many times have you been the anchor, while no one was an anchor for you? How many times have you cried in silence, then wiped your tears quickly just to stand tall in front of everyone? Sometimes you even told yourself this was your mission from God. But the truth is, God never wanted you to become a victim of your own love. He did not create you only to carry, only to endure. He created you to live fully, to let your fire burn for yourself first and then spread outward. Think of a single candle. It can light up a whole room. But if winds keep blowing from every direction, that flame will flicker, struggle, and could even go out. That is your soul when you carry too much. And the universe, with God's love, never wants that flame to vanish. He wants you to realize true love does not demand that you burn yourself out. Aries, this lesson is not just for you, it is for everyone listening. We all must learn to tell the difference between love that gives strength and burdens disguised as family duty. Real love will make you stronger, not drain you dry. Real love will give you freedom, not turn you into a prisoner inside your own home. You've lived through years being the pillar, while few ever notice the cracks inside. And yet, here you are, still listening, still carrying a flame in your heart. Small maybe, but never once extinguished. If these words reach your soul, write in the comments, "I carried too much." Because when you write it, you're not only telling me, you're telling yourself. That is the first step toward freedom. So Aries, pause for a moment. Feel the weight you've carried for so long. Acknowledge it. And then gently lay it down, because you were never born to be the only savior. You were born to live a full life, to let your light spread without being drained away. And it is precisely because you carried too much, because you held on for too long, that the universe had to step in. God himself had to intervene, opening a distance that at first felt like loss. But that distance was never meant to abandon you. It was meant to restore you, to let your fire be nourished again from the beginning. And this is why the universe intervened, to create a sacred separation, a space not to leave you lost, but to bring you back to yourself. To restore the light you thought was gone after a lifetime of being the silent savior. The moment you realize you have to rise and walk away, not to abandon but to breathe again for yourself. That is one of the greatest turning points of the soul. Many will look at that choice and call it betrayal. They'll say you're selfish. They'll say you forgot your family, forgot your duty. But deep inside, God knows the truth is the exact opposite. Separation is not betrayal. It is a sacred act of loyalty to your own being. Listen to your heart. All these years, you've put others above yourself. You gave your strength, your light, even your peace of mind so they could keep standing. And in the process, you began to lose your breath, lose the rhythm of your own soul. God saw that. And he knew if you kept living this way, the light within you would fade. So separation appeared like a divine hand lifting you out of the storm, not to punish, but to set you free. To show you that choosing yourself is not a sin. It is the very first step toward healing. You've heard the stories that real love must always mean closeness, constant presence, never leaving each other's side. But ask yourself, what kind of love is real if it leaves you empty? What kind of love can be true if it demands the loss of your own soul? Sometimes the greatest act of love is finally choosing yourself. It is standing up not to fight anyone but to return to your own truth. When you choose yourself, you choose the survival of the flame inside your heart. And only when that flame is kept alive can you shine for those who truly deserve it. Maybe your family won't understand at first. Maybe they will speak against you. Maybe they will look at you with eyes that feel distant. But never forget, God witnesses everything. He knows your choice is not rejection. It is a return. A return to the original love, the love that begins with honoring yourself. True love still exists, but it must be seen from a new angle. It is no longer blind attachment, but free connection. A space where each person is allowed to be themselves. That is the love God wants you to experience, a love that knows when to hold on and when to let go, a love that respects your original light. So Aries, if you're listening right now, pause for a moment and breathe deep. Ask yourself, when was the last time you chose yourself? And what did that moment bring you? Tell me in the comments, when was the last time you chose yourself, even if others didn't understand? Your answer may be the key that opens healing for someone who desperately needs it. And then when you choose yourself, another door begins to open. Because with every ending there is always transformation. And this transformation is not just on the outside. It is a deep movement within the soul. For Aries, this is the death and the rebirth of your spirit. There are moments in life that strike like a storm, sweeping away everything you once believed would last forever. The old house within your soul collapses. The familiar walls crack and fall, and you stand in the ashes, trembling, asking yourself, is this really the end? But in that very moment, God whispers deep within, this is not the end. This is only the rearrangement the universe has prepared for you. Death here does not mean disappearance. It means release. It is the passing of a version of you that has already fulfilled its mission. You are no longer the one who carried too much, the one who lived for others' expectations. That version has died, but the truth is you are not lost. You are stepping into a higher layer of your soul. Let your heart feel the relief. When one door closes, it is not a full stop. It is the opening of new space where you can finally take a deep breath after years trapped in the small room of sacrifice and duty. The old you has died, but the real you is just beginning to breathe. As you hear these words, maybe you feel a chill because your soul knows they are true. Inside, something has broken, but something else has begun to shine. God never wanted you to collapse. He only wanted you to shed the old shell, the heavy cloak of expectation, so you could finally see yourself in the purest light. He never wanted you to carry a ruined house on your back. He wanted you to stand on a new foundation, stronger, healthier, more worthy. Think back to your own losses, a relationship ending, a job you had to leave, a door that closed before you were ready. In those moments you felt pain. You felt like the whole world had turned away. But looking back from those ruins, a new path always appeared. A chance, a meeting, an awakening that without the loss you never would have reached. This is the sacred lesson. Not every collapse is an ending. Sometimes it is only the beginning of a new chapter. Ashes are the most fertile soil where seeds of new life are born. And you, listening right now, you are no exception. Whatever crack you are facing, whatever loss you are carrying, believe me, it is not here to destroy you. It is here to free you. It is here to give you the chance to be reborn. Write in the comments, I am ready to be reborn. If you feel the shift calling your name, speak it. Admit it. Because when you say it out loud, you are not only telling the world, you are telling your own soul, I am ready. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine yourself as a phoenix falling into the blazing fire, burning, breaking, empty. But from those very flames, new wings begin to form, stronger, brighter. You rise. And for the first time, you are not flying for anyone else. You are flying for yourself. And as you rise from the ashes, you are no longer who you once were. You are a new soul with eyes that see farther, with a heart that chooses what is worthy, with a flame burning brighter than ever. With every breath you take now, a truth is calling. You are no longer a prisoner of the past. You are living proof of the power of rebirth. And as you rise in this new form, you will notice something miraculous. Your energy begins to shift, and with it, the world around you starts to move. New people appear, new doors open. Opportunities you never imagined suddenly knock at your door, because when you change, the entire universe changes with you. One day, you wake up and notice the world around you feels different. It's still the same street, the same faces, the same sounds you've heard 1,000 times. But somehow, everything feels brighter, lighter, and strangely more peaceful. It's not that the world outside has changed. It's that you have shifted your own frequency. When the soul decides to stop carrying and returns to truth, a silent shift begins. It's like listening to music that's been stuck on a channel full of static. Every note broken, every sound distorted. It makes you restless. But then, with just one small turn of the dial, the frequency lines up and the melody comes alive, clear, vibrant, full of life. You didn't change the song. You only changed the channel. And in that moment, the whole world begins to sing with you. The moment you changed inside, people began to see a different light in you. A light they had never noticed before. An energy that makes them curious and drawn in. Some who once avoided you suddenly return because they feel something safe, something trustworthy. Opportunities that were closed before suddenly open, as if the door had always been waiting for you but only unlocked when you stood in the right frequency. This is not magic apart from reality. This is the principle of life itself. The universe runs on frequency, and your heart is the transmitter. What you send out, you call back. When you lived in fear, you drew in mirrors of that fear. When you lived in sacrifice, you attracted people who needed you to carry their load. But now that you've chosen yourself, the signal you send is different, and the signal always pulls back what matches it. Picture yourself as a lighthouse. When your light was dim, storms covered the sea and ships out there couldn't find their way. But when your light shines strong again, no matter how vast the ocean, the right ships will find their way to you. You don't need to call them. You don't need to force anything. You only need to shine in the true frequency of your soul. This is a lesson no book can teach you. You have to live it, because when you shift inside, the world cannot help but shift with you. Old relationships fall away not because you're wrong, but because they no longer match your rhythm. Old opportunities close not to punish you, but to clear space for the ones aligned with your path. Aries, look at yourself today. Compared to a year ago, how have you changed? Are you carrying less and living more free? Have you learned to say no to what drains you and yes to what nourishes your soul? If the answer is yes, then that is the proof. Your frequency has changed. So share this with me. Who in your life already feels this shift in your energy? Write it in the comments. Let's celebrate your growth. Don't hold it in. When you share it, you don't just affirm your own journey. You plant the seed of belief for someone else that they too can change. The truth is, shifting your frequency doesn't just touch your work, your money, or your visible opportunities. It seeps into the way you see love, the way you open your heart, the way you give, and the way you receive in a relationship. Because when your energy is purified, the love you share will never be the same again. When you begin walking on a new frequency, the invisible chains that once tied your heart start to loosen. And in that space now open, love arrives. Not the kind of love that drains you, not the kind of love that demands sacrifice until you collapse, but real love. A love that comes to see you, to cherish you, and to honor the fire within you. Think back to the old days when you believed love meant giving everything away. Love meant shrinking yourself. Love meant cutting off pieces of who you were just to fit with someone else. But in the end, what you received was emptiness, the hollow ache of being alone, even inside a relationship. You once convinced yourself that silence was love, that enduring was love, that endless sacrifice was love. But in the light of truth, God whispered, that was not love. That was bondage. Real love never asks you to dim your own light just to keep someone else comfortable. Real love never demands you make yourself small so another can feel big. Real love never makes you afraid of living as your true self. True love doesn't fear your fire, it honors it. It respects it. It holds it gently like a treasure. And for that kind of love to find you, you had to walk a long road, the road of healing. Because only when your heart stopped bleeding from old wounds could it open wide enough to welcome someone who came not to fill a void, but to create a new light with you. Only when you stopped expecting love to rescue you could true love finally arrive as a companion. Picture this. You are standing on a path lit by the morning sun. No more weight on your shoulders, no more fear in your eyes. You walk forward and your light makes the whole path glow. And then from ahead, someone else walks toward you, carrying their own light. Two beams that do not cut each other down, two flames that do not compete. They blend and together they illuminate the sky. That is the love you deserve. If these words touch your heart, write in the comments, my fire is sacred. Because when you declare it, you are telling yourself your fire is holy, untouchable, and only a love strong enough to honor it can enter. Aries, trust this. When you are healed enough, you don't have to go searching for love. Love will find you. It will come quietly, not dramatic, not loud, but peaceful, steady, like a river flowing toward you, carrying cool waters after a long season of drought. And from this honoring of your fire, one deeper step awaits, because before you can build great love out there, you must pause one last time and anchor this truth into the very depth of your soul, a sacred affirmation. There are journeys that seem like leaving, but in truth, they are circles that lead you back to your original breath, back to the light that never went out, back to yourself. You've walked through pain, through sacrifice, through lonely silences that felt endless. But none of it was to push you away. It was all to bring you home to the safest place of all, the home of your soul. That home isn't found in a house outside. It isn't in the eyes of others who accept you. It lives inside your own heart. It's where you dare to speak your truth, even with trembling lips. It's where you dare to guard your flame, even when misunderstood. It's where you dare to stand tall, to live, and to love with the full essence of your soul. The greatest homecoming of your life is finally returning to yourself. There is no journey more sacred, because when you return, you no longer chase recognition out there. You no longer run after anyone, cling to anyone just to feel whole. You are complete in the truth of who you are. From this return, everything begins to bloom. Prosperity is no longer a chase, it flows naturally. Love is no longer a draining performance, it becomes the meeting of two free souls. Opportunity is no longer desperate hope, but doors opening at the right time in the right place, because you are standing in the truth of your being. You can close your eyes now and whisper to yourself, I return to myself. My truth is my home, my fire is my guide. This is not just a beautiful phrase, it is a vow, an anchor that holds you steady in the storm of the world. Because as long as you remember truth is your home and your fire is your compass, you will never lose your way. And right now, if this truth is echoing in your soul, write in the comments, I return to myself. Because when you put it into words, you're not only declaring it to yourself, you're sending out a message to others who need courage to come home too. Thank you for listening. Thank you for walking alongside this journey. Thank you for opening your heart to these deeper layers of the soul. Thank you, Aries, for walking this path with courage. May your road be filled with clarity, with healing, and with love. And may your fire always guide you home.